Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Glad you could make time. Merely a week and a day, are we a week and a day after the 2016 general elections? My name is Michelle Ringuette. I am the Assistant to the President for Politics, Labor, and Government Relations at AFT. And I'm delighted you could join us for this conversation. We're going to be a little bit informal today. Hopefully it will be a lot of dialogue. Hopefully we will be adding a lot of light and not heat to a situation that's already been very hot, I think, for many of us. And really want to dig in today and talk about the implications of this election on education policy in this country, recognizing that it's been sort of a stunning result on the national level, and it will have probably enormous implications for federal policy, but I don't want to miss the opportunity for us to spend some time really talking about and thinking about what's happened at the state level, because despite the very dramatic things we know are going to happen to our federal policy, the education department, the leadership in the country, and the work that so many of us have spent over the past couple years on ESSA, the Every Student Succeeds Acts, and the work on student discipline, the work that's been done on reining in the for-profits, and looking at the potential for higher ed reauthorization in the future. I don't want us to forget to think about some of the real progress that has been made in the states in putting public education to voters directly and thinking about where citizens are, where communities are, and what that could mean and what opportunities there are in the future. So, with no further ado, I want to take a moment and introduce to you our panelists who are going to be in conversation. And then I want to go through just a couple of housekeeping items. So, first, to my left, we have Luis Huerta. And Luis is at Columbia University's Teachers College. He's an expert in school choice reforms and school finance policy, which I think will obviously be subjects in the days to come and very useful. Luis does not tweet, so I have no Twitter handle for him. And right now, having spent a lot of time on Twitter over the recent days, that might have been the best possible choice he could have made with his life. Moving on. To Luis's left, we have Catherine Brown, who's Vice President of Education Policy at the Center for American Progress. Catherine is a veteran of Teach for America. She's also worked for George Miller and also Secretary Clinton. So I'm sure Catherine will have a lot of insights on where we've been, where we're going, and we're looking forward to hearing from her. She tweets at CatBrown66 and also at AmProgress. And to Catherine's left, we have Frederick Hess, who is the resident scholar and director of education policy studies at the American Enterprise Institute. He's the author of a number of books and is also found on Twitter at RickHess99. And finally, at Rick's left, we have Randy Weingarten, who is president.
I am at your left.
I actually did not mean that, but I think that probably is somewhat subliminal. And Randy is president of the American Federation of Teachers, and I think many of you are no stranger to her work here. So, before we get started, I want to just take a moment to let you know that if you are trying to capture this with your own thoughts live, or if you have questions for us, please tweet this at hashtag 2016education. You can also tag AFT Union or Schenker Institute. It's at Schenker Institute. Yeah. And we also invite you, we're going to make time certainly for questions toward the end. So, please take notes and capture your questions as we go along. And finally, I want to make sure that as you came in, you took note of an invitation to a conference that we will be holding on Monday, December 5th, called The Challenge of Precarious Labor. I think today we're probably thinking that labor is possibly more precarious than it's ever been, so this should be an interesting conference. So make sure if you didn't grab this flyer on your way in, that you grab one on the way out. But this, the first of the Schenker series of this calendar year, I'm happy to present, so why don't we just get started, and I want to open it up by asking Luis on my left to give us some of his opening thoughts about this election and its implications on education policy.